This is the EVP Podcast. This is the EVP Podcast with your team, Energy, Visions, and the Paranormal. And I am one of your co-hosts, DVO.
And I'm Ghosted.
And I'm Beaker.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Boo.
Scary. Is that your scary tone?
Yeah, that was scary, right?
That was more fascinating than anything.
Okay. It was a little fascinating, yes.
All right. This episode is on the Old Alton Bridge, also known as the Goatman's Bridge.
How old is it?
It was built in 1884. It connects the cities of Denton and Copper Canyon in Tejas, or Texas. Some of you might call it.
Tejas.
Yes.
Old Tejas.
That's so confusing. You said that. What are you talking about?
So it is, like I said, the Old Alton Bridge, also known as the Goatman's Bridge. There was a couple episodes on it from Ghost Adventures, and we might even talk about that a little bit. But why is it called the Goatman's Bridge? So let's go into a little bit of history on it. And Beaker, you've got a little story for us of why it might be called the Goatman's Bridge.
Oh, Satanists.
Yeah, they like goats.
So apparently in the woods nearby, there was a lot of like satanic rituals that went on. Even still to this day, from what I understand, I've read that local pet stores stopped selling cats because they were finding a lot of like dead cats in the area around the bridge.
Not cool.
Because people were still performing their satanic rituals, and they possibly opened doing this. I mean, so I don't know exactly the year that the satanic rituals took place, but they possibly opened up kind of like a portal there on the bridge, a portal for a hellspawn demon.
Oh, shit.
I don't trust them. Don't trust them.
So, I mean, it's clear that there were some kind of attempts of rituals there because of all the dead cats found around the area.
Not cool. Dentonites? Is that what we call them? Dentonites.
Yeah, they're Dentonites.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Not cool Dentonites.
Dentine ice. Oh, nope, that's a gum.
So I can see that. So obviously Satanists, they like goats and goat figures. So that's a good theory. Ghosty, you've got another theory or another story.
Yes, I do, actually. And this one actually predates the bridge itself.
Uh-huh.
This one could go back as early as the 1860s, where some...
And again, this was built in 1884.
Right? So this is just a little bit before then. But some Copper Canyon cowboys. They lynched a Creole slave, goat herder named Jack Kendall.
Oh.
And the cowboys, which they weren't that smart of cowboys. They don't know how to make knots. They're not those kind of cowboys. So anyways, they didn't do a very good job. They tried to hang old Jack Kendall and decapitated him. Well, they didn't know that he knew some voodoo. And his zombie body came up.
Okay.
And walked over to a goat that was just chilling nearby and ripped this goat's head off and put it on his own body.
So he became the Goatman.
Goatman. That's Goatman.
Interesting.
And I guess somehow during all this, since then, a river came through that land, and now he owns that. The bridge was built, and there he is, just living there under the bridge.
Okay. That's
Is
interesting.
he a troll?
Huh?
He's a troll.
He's a zombie.
He's a zombie goat man.
Zombie goat man.
Zombie Goatman, yeah. That's an interesting story. Okay.
And every third full moon, just kidding, comes out and...
He was a goat herder, wasn't he?
He wasn't.
I think he was.
Or was it? Or maybe he was. I don't know. Maybe he was. Does it say anything in your notes about
Yeah, he was.
Well, he was a goat herder.
Yes, he was a goat herder.
All right. Okay. That's why he had a goat there then.
Yeah, so there's a goat nearby. Yeah, I don't know where these stories come from.
All right. The other story, and this is the most widely accepted story, and this happened to a black entrepreneur named Oscar Washburn. He owned a goat farm with his family. And at the goat farm, they sold the meat and milk and cheese. And one day he decided, I'm going to put a little sign up near the bridge so people can see that I sell these goods. They can come over to my farm and buy it from me. Well, guess who did not like this idea?
Everybody.
The KKK. They were like, no. This black man ain't getting no comeuppance. We're not allowing him to be successful in life. So they decided to plot a revenge and have a mob attack him. They had set up a noose and hung over the side of the bridge itself. They dragged Oscar to the bridge, tightened the rope, and tossed him over the side of the bridge. They were pretty proud of what they had done, the Klansmen. And so they arrived at the bottom of the bridge. That they found out that Oscar's neck hung undisturbed, and he was nowhere to be found. So frantically, the Klansmen were searching all over the area. They went back to his home and set it on fire with his family screaming inside. They were hoping that would kind of bring him back out. And he never showed up.
He disappeared.
Does that one actually have facts based? Can you actually look that story up?
No.
I don't know. I didn't dig too much into it. This was just the most widely accepted story.
Yeah, that's the most popular story. There is...
Like the one I read just kind of sounds like somebody made that up because they didn't know anything else.
It's a pretty interesting one. The voodoo slave, goat herder, rises from the dead, rips off a goat's head and puts it on his head because his head popped off during the hanging.
Look,
Yeah.
That sounds like the most plausible explanation. All right.
It was one of those
Zombie
long
goat.
stretches.
Zombie goat.
Zombie goat.
That's what I'm going with. I mean, it clearly isn't Satanist that summoned something. That's not. We all know that's not real.
Satanic.
From what I understand, there is no records of Jack Kendall or Oscar Washburn. There is no records of anyone being lynched or hung or anything like that. So as far as I can tell, these two guys don't actually ever exist anywhere in history.
But it doesn't mean they didn't.
Doesn't mean they didn't. But there's just no record of it.
Right.
But, zombie goat.
I mean, that was a normal thing back then.
Yeah.
Voodoo and zombies.
In Texas.
In Texas.
I mean, I thought that was all in Louisiana, but I don't know my history of voodoo. So I could be wrong. They could have had
Makes sense.
zombie goats in Texas in the 1860s.
But there
Easily
But
could
tales have definitely stirred up from the bridge. There's a lot of people that have said they have been scratched and attacked on the bridge, on each side of the bridge. There's a lot of claims and stories, and in fact, you've got a interesting little tidbit of information there.
Yeah. Some people say that it's not even the goat man that's coming after you. It's his wife that's looking for her children. That's another possible answer.
And she went to the bridge. Her spirit went to the bridge.
Yeah, her spirit went to the bridge. Well, because after the
Everything burned at the
goat man disappeared, and then they were burned alive, in their house, she's wandering the bridge looking for her children.
Probably Matt and all probably looking to whip her husband's ass. Like,
Why'd you go?
Why are you leaving us there?
But if you want to find the goat man, we're going to tell you how.
Yes.
So you go to this bridge, right? Make sure you're there at midnight. At the stroke of midnight, knock 3 times on the trusses, twice on the pipes, if the answer is no. Knock 3 times on the trusses. It's supposed to summon the goat man. Another way to summon the goat man is to park your car at the end of the bridge. The bridge isn't able to sustain the weight of vehicles anymore, so don't drive your car across the bridge. But again, at midnight, you can honk your horn 3 times to summon the goat man. You should never drive over the bridge with your lights off, as the Klansmen did. People report being touched, grabbed, and some even say that there were rocks thrown at them. Other people say that mysterious noises can only be heard at night when it's dark out, such as horses running through the woods, some gargling water as if they are drowning in the river under the bridge, as well as growling noises. Growling noises.
Growing, they're growing.
Growing noises. Growing loud noises. Growling noises from behind the tree line.
Interesting.
So if you want to summon demons, because he's already there, if you want him to come out and talk to you, knock 3 times, drive your car across the bridge without the lights on, although I don't think the bridge can handle that, or honk your horn 3 times. 3 times. It's all the 3s, so it must be a demon.
Obviously demons.
It's because you're doing it in 3s.
I picked this episode because on Ghost Adventures, they touched on this topic a couple times in a season. One was they were talking about Route 666. They're kind of traveling to a few different places along this route, and the Goatman's Bridge was on that route. The other one is they did a whole episode about it, and they interviewed paranormal investigators, and they showed pictures of them being that they were scratched, and the lines came up. Of course, it was always 3 scratches. Doesn't mean anything, by the way. And
It means everything.
yeah, but during the investigation, there were some interesting things that happened. So, because you got a story about Aaron and Zach, kind of what happened with them a little bit. They got into a little scuffle.
Well, Zach was over here trying to strangle himself, which it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen him do.
Wait,
But
so was he attempting self-erotic asphyxiation
it
on
looked like
the
it.
show?
Yeah, he was over here trying to choke himself out, and he's just
with his bare ass hands.
with his bare ass hands around his neck, and talking about like he's trying to choke himself, and then he can't stop himself. That was
A little odd.
that was a
sounds
little
weird.
that was a little weird. And then a little bit later, Aaron.
Well, and then Billy was trying to like take his hands off, and he started wrestling with Billy a little bit.
Oh, did he? Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, so him and Billy get in a little scuffle, and then Aaron, he ends up saying he got tossed 20 feet, and he's freaking out on the floor, saying his blood is gushing down his arm, and he had a little scratch.
On his elbow.
Yeah, on his
Tis
elbow.
but a scratch.
But it was gushing. It was gushing blood. But him getting tossed 20 feet, that was pretty nuts.
That's pretty interesting.
You don't see it, though. You don't see anything, so you don't even know what 20 feet is. Did he get a couple steps back? But it sounded like he got,
He was kind of. He
got touched
he
on.
seemed out of it a little bit.
yeah. I don't know that whole thing about Zach, though. That thing was, I don't know about that.
A little much.
Yeah, a
extra.
little over the top. A little over the top acting. You're not going to get any roles anytime soon off of that, but...
The one that I thought was a little interesting was Jay and his wife. So again, in the beginning of the episode, they were interviewing some of the other investigators that had been on the Goatman's Bridge, and one of the people they interviewed had said that they were like out of it. They wanted to hurt everybody in their group. Like they just wanted to just lash out at them. Well, Jay's wife, she actually feels like she was possessed, and she was also out of it. She was kind of a little odd. They were asking her questions. She wasn't answering them. She just was looking at them with this stone cold look. It was a little creepy, actually. So she was just looking at them, and I don't know who, maybe it was Zach that asked, "Do you want to hurt us?" And she just nodded, yes. Like, so she was just out of it, and Jay went to go console her and check on her. Later during the investigation, I think this was the pre-investigation when they were doing like a lot of interviews and just kind of mapping out the area. During the investigation, she actually wanted to go back. She was kind of a little upset, and she wanted to go back out there and kind of almost confront what was out there. So she was out there by herself, and they had cameras on her, just watching her. She was out there by herself, just asking questions like, "Why'd you do that?" Things like that. And you see at one point, you hear like a thud, and she drops, and she says she got hit, and she kind of fell to her knees. She kind of wobbled getting up, and Jay and them all ran out to her and helped her up, and she got a pretty good sized lump on her head. And you hear that they do the playback, and you hear like the thud, and then her go down. And I'm not sure if she felt like she got punched or like a rock hit her. Beaker just said that people claim to have rocks thrown at them. And then she went back, and they kind of healed her up and everything. But afterwards, Jay has said that he thinks she was possessed. She never really was the same after this investigation. In fact, this was her last investigation with the team because she was more behind the scenes type of stuff. So she would travel with them. This was her last investigation.
She was a photographer or something.
She was a photographer, yeah. So she never worked again for the Ghost Adventures crew. In fact, her and Jay ended up getting divorced. And Jay thinks this was a big part of it. He thinks something went home with them and just kind of latched on and just kind of ruined their marriage.
What a confusing excuse.
For being piss poor husband, is that what you're saying? Or what?
Demons did it. Demons ruined my marriage.
So
Good
I
title
don't-
for the episode.
I don't
Or another
believe
Discovery
these-
Plus episode. A demon will ruin my marriage.
I don't believe these Goatman ghost stories at all. But I believe that if people were there performing some crazy rituals,
Satanic rituals
I
specifically.
believe that they could definitely have brought through some crazy shit.
Yeah. That maybe haunt the bridge now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just around the area. So that whole area, and I believe there could be a lot of just random spirits coming through there. Cause,
Through a portal or what? What do you mean?
No, or just wandering the area.
Oh, wandering the area.
It's
Okay.
right next to like Route 66. Mm-hmm. So like when I was watching some other other investigators and their just footage that they have while they're investigating there, and you can see cars just right there next to them, just zipping past as they're out on the bridge and everything. So there's a highway right there, but there's a lot of woods in that area. That is, you can investigate that woods for
Okay.
sure. But I'm
that
sure
makes
there
sense.
just could be a lot of spirits in that area.
So you think the bridge is haunted not by a goat man, but by like spirits that have come through portals that Satanists have opened up.
That and then there could just be deaths from the highway.
Oh, okay, okay.
and
Like
then-
accidents, car accidents.
Yeah, and then just spirits nearby getting drawn to that just because people are probably trying to communicate. So random spirits are probably like, hey, look, here's some people trying to
Well, I
communicate.
also wonder too if maybe not Washburn or the Kendall stories are necessarily true, but if there are klansmen out there, they might have hung, black people over the bridge.
It's very possible.
That if that is something that was prevalent in that area during that time, that's very possible that there could be deaths there.
a very possible situation that could have happened. Not necessarily the story had happened, but
Right.
Hangings were happening from
Right.
that bridge, and somebody just telling ghost stories around a campfire brought that one up, and
Right.
and probably all of them were descendants of KKK, and they're gonna get us.
maybe. Yeah, so I can see all that. Baker, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I forgot to mention
Yes.
other things people see. Glowing red eyes
All
in the
right.
darkness. And then the stench so bad it smells like decaying flesh. That's how you know you got the goat man.
Not dead animals because they're in the
Dead
woods or
animals,
anything.
No, not dead animals. Glowing red eyes, though, I mean, I've seen that before.
Where at?
Family tree.
And I don't think there's any animals because a lot of them are nocturnal. They have like something in their eyes, right? That's so they can help them see better at night. But the shine are usually like a yellow and green. Is that
Green,
correct?
yeah, green or yellow.
There's not an animal, right, that produces like a red glow.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of either.
I mean, when I saw the red,
Besides Bigfoot.
yeah, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about my cousins on a future episode.
Okay, your family.
My brother really wants us to do an episode on Bigfoot.
I also do.
Yeah, we will.
It's so deep though. It's
it's
so
coming up.
deep.
I know there's many strains of Bigfoot.
I actually was going to pick it for next week's topic, but we have an investigation coming up this weekend, and we're going to have a special guest on. So next week will be another guest. But anyway,
Very cool.
He actually, the person we're going to have on, he's the one that actually saw the red glowing eyes at Family Tree. And inside of a restaurant, there are no animals.
Right.
So
Maybe
when
it's
you-
a meese, but
not like 5 feet in the air, where
No.
it floating. Where there's nothing to stand on. I mean, it was down a hallway, and there's
Meese Man.
Yes, mice man, mouse man. That sounds creepy. Anyways, yeah, no, I don't know any animals that would cause red glowing eyes.
exactly.
I mean, the demon pandemic of the '80s is over once they figured out how to fix red eye in cameras.
I won't get wasted on that episode when we interview the next
Next guest.
Yeah.
Okay,
Or should I?
you should.
We should leave it for the listeners to vote.
Yes,
Should Ghosty get wasted for the next interview?
but I think it's like what you said. I think it's possible that there were people that were hung on the bridge And obviously, you're not going to record it. If you're lynching people and
Right.
if you're part of the KKK and you're just going out for blood, you're probably not going to write down and keep record.
Yeah, they don't have a scribe. The KKK scribe,
Historian.
Right. So it's possible. Like, yeah, if you were hung off this bridge, you were murdered because of the color of your skin. It stands to reason that you might still be there pissed off and wanting to take out revenge on people as they come to the bridge. I think that's more a likely scenario. So I think the Goatman, like having the KKK come in and like hang him and kill his family, totally plausible. And being angry and vengeful makes total sense to me. So whether or not it's actually a dude that's got to go for a head, I doubt that. I think it's just a pissed off, angry spirit.
That makes
multiple,
sense.
maybe multiple.
Multiple.
And like you said, if they're doing satanic worshiping and spirit and seances in the woods, that can open, you can definitely open portals that allow things to come into the area.
Did you guys watch any footage from any of these teams that went out and investigated the bridge on YouTube?
I just
or
saw
anything?
pictures of scratches.
There are some really cringy teams out there. Just the cringy videos, not teams, but the videos that they were making, just the content. It's kind of cringy. But I'm just glad that there's something to watch. Thanks for making it.
Well, the one podcast I listened to, she said her brother went out there with a couple friends, and he took a picture of his two friends on the bridge. And when they looked at the picture later, there was 3 people on the photo, not just 2, but they had to zoom in twice to see the third face. And I kind of have issue with that because a lot of the times when you're zooming in on a photo, it starts to get pixelated.
Yes.
And then pareidolia is going to kick in. If you don't know what pareidolia
Especially with those leaves and trees and shadows.
Right. Like, if you don't know what pareidolia is, if we haven't mentioned, it's basically your mind is trying to make sense out of chaos. The best way to describe pareidolia is when you look up in the clouds and you see shapes of things that aren't actually there, like horses or animals or whatever. It's your mind trying to make sense of the chaos.
Now imagine the picture that you just painted about this, the photo with zooming in with the 2 people, and then there's a third. Now imagine painting that picture and then handing the photo to somebody. Now you're the person getting that photo, and you look at there, and the 2 people you see are butt-ass naked.
Why am I picturing this?
Oh, it'll just be hilarious.
You wasted.
No,
Why did you go there?
Because it would be funny. It should be hilarious.
I think RedTube.
Then you'd be like, made you look.
We gotcha, bitch.
Gotcha.
There's 2 naked dudes.
That's 2 naked dudes. Gotcha.
And a ghost watching from the wood line.
They're like, no, don't look at them. The third person's over here.
They were talking, one of those channels were talking about doing a ghost hunting show like that where the investigators were naked.
What happened to that? There was going to be one.
There was going to be one. They actually, when all 3 of us were on the other team, they actually emailed us and wanted us to like audition for it. And we're just like, we're good.
Audition.
Yeah.
Naked, scared, and fascinated. New series.
Naked, scared, and fascinated. Well, because apparently being naked would make the ghost feel more comfortable because you're vulnerable and exposed, so they'd want to come talk to you.
I think they'd run away. I think they're more likely to run away.
Yeah, I think if they saw a fat, hairy dude, a couple of them, they'd be like, peace out, weirdos.
It's going to be the majority of ghosts. And
like, and we're gone. We're going to the portal. We're out of here. It's time to go on. This is what's happening on this bridge. Time to move on.
I think that's the best way to clear an area. Like, this
Get
place
naked.
This place is super haunted. Let's go get naked.
Just wear a necklace of crystals and be out there naked.
Put sage around your waist.
A sage
Start
belt.
burning it and running around the house.
No more ghosts. This house is clear now.
That's funny.
Why is he making a clapping noise?
Put plastic down first. How we got here.
Oh, I don't know where we're at. Anyway, thanks for listening.
All right, ghosts, you don't play that.
Peace out, butterflies.
Bye.
This is the EVP Podcast.